up now. Ask if we linking up. Ask if we linking up. What time no sleeping time? 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 Call up the deacons, bro. Call them up now. Ask if we linking up. Ask if we linking up. What time no sleeping time? What time no sleeping time? Wake up the sleeping tribe. Wake up the sleeping tribe. Call up the deacons, bro.
I'm not saying anything. I'm proving to you that Jesus was not. He was not a paleface.
Black history. According to the public school system, Negroes were brought to America in 1619, forced to work as slaves on plantations, until one day this great white man named Abraham Lincoln came along and felt bad for the slaves and signed the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, which freed the slaves. But there were still some bad whiteys in the southern states that passed Jim Crow laws for segregation. Afterwards, there came more whites that felt bad and then gave blacks civil rights in the 1960s, then allowed a black man to have the presidential office named Barack Obama. Now blacks are finally equal to whites. We can all get along. The end. Now, moving right along to our English lecture for the day. I don't think so. Black history. What do you know about Black history? Let me ask you a question. Prior to the transatlantic slave trade in the 1600s, what was your nationality? What did you call yourself? Some may say African. Well, Africa is a continent, and in that continent, there's over 47 different countries in there. Which one do you come from? What language did you speak prior to the 1600s? Was it English? There's over 1,500 dialects being spoken in the land of Africa. Pick one. What clothing did you wear? Was it high heels and stilettos? Skinny jeans and Vans? What food did you eat? Hamburgers and hot dogs? French fries and SpaghettiOs? What religion did you partake in? Who was your God? Was it Christianity and Cesare Borgia? Most of you have no idea about the answer to these questions. You have no recollection of any history prior to the transatlantic slave trade. Now, is that a coincidence or by random chance? I don't think so. Have you ever asked yourself, why is it that in the public school system that every time the subject of Black history is taught, it always begins in the 1600s and with slavery? Why is that? Doesn't that raise some antennas and spark inquiry? Why is it that the public school system is so committed to revolving Black history solely on the past 400 years? Why is that? Is it because there's a deficiency in historical data? Or maybe because there's no history at all prior to the 1600s. Maybe Black people just poofed out of thin air, sporadically, landed on slave ships, and they said, hey, we got a new species here, and start importing and exporting them all over the world. Maybe that's what happened. The question arises, what is the drawback on this history? Why does it keep being withheld? What's the big idea about it? Why is it being held hostage? That's the question. Why can't it be expounded on? 100 years prior to the 1600s? 300 years? 500 years? 1,000 years? Why is that information not being revealed? What's the big secret? What's the mysticism about it? What you're going to come to realize is that your identity is the biggest kept secret on the planet Earth. Oh, you thought that NASA and the space station and the secret missions being conducted by them, oh, you thought that was the biggest kept secret on Earth. No, this is bigger than that. You thought that the government and the CIA and the FBI hiding information about UFOs and Planet X and Nibiru and aliens, you thought that was the biggest information and biggest kept secret. No. This is bigger than that. The elite Confederate has spent billions of dollars and constructed an innumerable amount of psychological stratagem to ensure that you never received and acquired this information that's about to be put out. You're about to receive pertinent information from some of the most reputable biblical scholars, historians, and archaeologists. And they all know something that you don't know. And that's your identity. Ham, the youngest of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. Wait. The churches and the pastors, which are set up by the government, all teach in unison a doctrine that all black people come from the seed of Ham. But once you open up scholastic sources, you'll find out that the biblical scholars say something totally different from what's taught in Orthodox Christianity. What do they mean by Ham is the father of the dark races but not the Negroes? The Negroes themselves are a dark race of people, so how can you say that Ham is the father of all these dark races and exclude the Negroes? What are the biblical scholars trying to convey? What the biblical scholars are saying is that you're not African. There's only 4 families according to the Bible that make up the native population of Africa, or the land of Ham. And the biblical scholars know that you don't descend from any one of those 4 families. In order to write that in a scholastic and academic book, the biblical scholars have done extensive and thorough research on both the so-called Negroes and the Africans, the native Africans. And they came to the conclusion after the extensive research that the Negroes don't have anything to do with the native Africans at all. They're 2 totally separate people. In the 1840s, Morton collaborated with George R. Glyden, an Egyptologist, who provided him with mummy heads and information about the racial significance of Egyptian tomb inscriptions. In Crania Aegyptiaca, published in 1844, Morton pointed out that both cranial and archaeological evidence showed that the Egyptians were not Negroes. In 1840, Dr. Morton was trying to find out the racial origin of the so-called Negroes that were in America in slavery. So he got together with the Egyptologists, which supplied him with the mummy heads, and what he did was conduct an extensive research on the cranial remains of the heads in Egypt, in contrast to the cranial remains of the heads in America. And what he found out is that the Negroes that were in slavery were not Africans. He found out that the skulls were 2 totally different types of skulls. The Negro's head was longer than the Egyptian head. The physical characteristics from the outside look similar, with the thick lips and the broad nose. But once you start delving into the real characteristics, he found out that there were 2 totally different people, as abolitionists and colonizationists had maintained, and that in fact, blacks had been relegated to the same servile position in ancient Egypt as in modern America. But what Dr. Morton did discover is that the Negroes that were serving slavery in America served the same position and servitude in ancient Egypt when they matched other skulls and other cranial remains in Egypt. They said these are exact matches. So what are the scholars saying? What you're going to find out is that they're saying that you are the biblical Israelites. Yes, you're the same exact people that served slavery in the land of Egypt. You're the same exact people that God sent Moses to go redeem under the hand of Pharaoh. You're the same exact people.
Let's see what happened to Jews, right? Since Jewish slaves just moved that. We got that, come on. Okay, now watch this. Y'all can go to slavevoyages.org. We already been through that. Now, on these voyages, you can see the name of the men and the women, right? And the tribes that they came from. Now, this was on the ships. Now, mind you, we went to the ship sellers and showed all the people's names. Now, watch this. We have Netanyahu and Yah, Inya, Yahu, and Yaha, and Haya, and Hayeh, Ben Hadi, Ben Yah, and Heyah. Now, why do they have the name Yah? Why do they have the name of tribes in their names?
The origin.
The origin. You check the origins of slavery. Igbo. Now watch this. It says what? Who Yahweh? Get the fuck out of here, man. Game over, man. Game over. How you gonna have that on the slave ships? How you gonna have that on the slave ships? Huh? Show me. I said I to my land. You don't see that shit. You don't see that. You know why you don't see that? Because they were not Egyptians. They were Hebrew Israelites on these ships, man. So you can't play with this, man. Come on to the next one. Oh my God. Here we go some more. Yahweh.
Here is slavevoyages.org, and these records, you're dealing with the slave records from the transatlantic slave trade, and you have their age, height, sex, name, all of this information. Now, where I got this from, I was checking out this particular video by Micaiah Yasharal, and I looked and I saw where you really can't see it well on here, but it says the origin was Igbo or Ibu and Hebo for some of the slaves. So I said, man, where did he get this information from? And I believe they had the information down at the bottom of the screen. So it came from the African Names Database, which is slavevoyages.org, and you can do a search there. I'll put the link at the bottom. But the significance of the Ibu and Hebo is that you have some people that will tie that into Hebrew. And of course, if you watch any of my videos, I do believe 1000% African origins, African-origins.org. This is a name search that I did. I like this particular site a little better than the other one I showed you. But I did a search, as you can see, where it says Yah, and just put the asterisk there, and all of these names came up. Akamiya, Akaya, Akiya, and Akiyalu.
Objective to our infamy, the transgressings of our education. Black man under all these curses. Black man, don't you know what your worth is? Black man, don't you know you got purpose? Black man, one day you'll rule on this earth. Black man, oh, black man, know your kingdom's coming. Black man, your reign is coming. Black man, know your kingdom's coming. Oh, just hold on, Lord. This is not for the naysayers. I'm way past that. I use black for the simple minds, but I'm way past black.
Thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
Psalms 83 verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, And let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
Cause they don't really love us, no. No, they don't love us, no. Better bundle up because this world is cold. This world is cold. The truth they don't want us to know. No, they don't want us to know. Cause we the people that he chose. That he chose. That he chose.
Ay, I just want some wisdom, you can keep your gold. And I'd rather be broke than to sell my soul. Yeah, F your money, I don't need your dollars. Praises to the Father, and I'm yelling Kwam Yasharala. No, I'm not a Muslim, I don't deal with Allah. Keep a sword with me, cut you up just like a barber. My people lost, we destroyed because we lacking knowledge. Spiritual knowledge, not that kind that you can get in college. We them children of the promise, a highest promise, the one that he made with our forefathers. Judah's alliance, what would tell me who shall rouse him, and we gon' rise up. That's why Esau wanna stop us. Hey,
they don't really love us, no. No, they don't love us, no. Better bundle up because this world is cold. This world is cold. The truth they don't want us to know. No, they don't want us to know. Cause we the people that he chose. That he chose.
yeah, reading these scriptures now I see the truth. This world is so cold, man, they killing our youth. Just turn on the news and you'll see the proof. They don't care about me, they don't care about you. They give us the guns, they tell us to shoot. They give us the drugs, they tell us to use. They tell us to sell them, they play us like fools. The private salute, so that's what we do. We gotta wake up, man, there's no time to snooze. Our power's the greatest, so we cannot lose. They try to degrade us, but they can't erase us out. God didn't make us to play by their rules, and that's why they hate us. They hate that they ain't us, and Satan can't make us get down with his crew. They lock us and chain us, they cuff us and slave us, but they'll never break us, we always break through. It's true, we the chosen people, our spirit golden, we royalty. Though we straight away, our Father kept us, that's loyalty. When it's time for judgment, won't have attorneys, no lawyer fees. When it's time for judgment, it's gonna be destruction of our enemies. Yeah.
Cause they don't really love us, no. No, they don't love us, no. Better bundle up because this world is cold. This world is cold. The truth they don't want us to know. No, they don't want us to know. Why? Cause we the people that he chose. That he chose. That he chose.
And if ye recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians.
You can hear me clearly, Rabbi. Let us have your name once more.
My name is Rabbi Yehuda ben Shomer.
Okay. Well, is it okay if we just call you Yehuda?
Yeah, that's fine.
Today?
Okay, yeah, that's fine. No problem at all. I'll go on even further to say this, that the slave trade is actually connected to Deuteronomy 28, because the majority of the slaves that were brought to the Caribbean islands and brought to the Americas were Ibu people, were people of Hebrew and Hebraic Israelite descent, if you will. And so if you read Deuteronomy chapter 28, it matches perfectly what happened to the Hebrew slaves, the black Hebrew slaves, during the slave trade. It just matches it perfectly.
Back up now. I think we just rung a bell here. Hold up now.
Okay.
Hold up. Hold the presses.
Okay.
Hold up. I hope everyone is listening to this. This is you about to rock some boats now. Ben Yehuda there. Hold up now. Listen to what he's saying here. So you are saying that there's a great chance, or more so, that the black people that links directly to the slave trade are from the lost tribes of Israel. Is that what you're saying here, sir?
Yes, I am. Now, granted, I will qualify that I don't. Wait a second. I don't believe that every single black person is Hebraic or Jewish, but I'm saying that the majority of the slaves involved in the slave trade were Hebrews.
Turn it up. Yeah. Call all the deacons up. Call them up now. Ask if we linking up. Ask if we linking up. What time no sleeping time? 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 Call up the deacons, bro. Call them up now. Ask if we linking up. Ask if we linking up. What time no sleeping time? What time no sleeping time? Wake up the sleeping tribe. Wake up the sleeping tribe. Call up the deacons, bro. Call them up now. Ask if we linking up.